Okay, thank you, Ceann Corla. Well, firstly, I'd like to welcome workers from the Rathigan site who are in the public gallery tonight. They're workers from Kisho Community College in Lucan. These workers have endured months and months of absolute hardship and poverty in all weathers, locked out by their employer and owed thousands of euros in wages. So we're welcome the opportunity to bring this to the attention of the Minister tonight and into the floor of the Chamber. Now, JJ Rathigan, developer, for some reason has 50% of all contracts that are underway by the Department of Education currently. The bricklayers who are on strike, many of them began in May. They received no pay until July, when one of them, Stephen Gleeson, received 5,292, which he thought was his own pay for those months, and then was informed that no, that was the total payment for 7 bricklayers. Now, Minister, that would work out at about €5 an hour if the workers were to accept those conditions. That's below minimum wage. These are skilled workers, workers who have to work, as I said, in all weathers, with the toll that that takes on their bodies as well. Effectively, they were pressured then to become self-employed contractors, which is an increasing practice in the building industry at the moment. For years, this has been flagged as an issue with government contracts as well as private contracts, and in the Department of Education to yourself and to the previous Minister as well. The Construction Workers Alliance, for example, has reported on bogus subcontracting, which would push workers back a century when there be no pensions, benefits or safety. Now, despite many efforts, these workers haven't had a full audience with the Minister to discuss this. You'd imagine the massive loss of state revenue from black market and bogus practices would be of massive interest. I don't have time to deal with all the issues, Minister, but the key demand of the workers is that funding be withheld from Rathigan pending full investigation into bogus subcontracting and possible black economy practices. And we'd ask you to give that commitment to these workers tonight.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Higgins.
It is an absolute outrage that working men, or it could be women indeed, in other circumstances, are forced to come to this House of Parliament, this stall, to ask the government to implement its own writ with regard to how construction contracts, publicly funded like schools, hospitals and so on, should be managed to ensure that workers' rights and tax compliance are fully above board. And what we've heard about the abuse of these workers is quite incredible. It is even more incredible that these practices of forcing construction workers, bricklayers and so on to become bogus subcontractors because they don't want to. They want to be honest workers, getting their pay, paying their PAYE, paying their pension contributions. But the system that operates is they are being forced on pain of the sack to go essentially into the realm of the black economy. That's been brought to attention, Minister, of your predecessor, and very concrete details have been given, and nothing has been done of substance that stops this. That's not good enough, and it's going to stop beginning here tonight. This is a grotesque abuse of workers who have to take strike action to protect the most basic rights. They have families, they have children, they have grandchildren, they have mortgages, they have rents. They are skilled workers who, for the last months, from dawn till dusk, have been forced to be not on the building site, earning for them and their families, but on the picket line. It's quite incredible that this should be allowed to go on. A minister has departed this House forcibly in recent times because he didn't listen to whistleblowers who were telling the truth. Beware of that. Stop these payments. I want you to give a commitment now that you will stop the payments to Rathigans until a round-table meeting and a full investigation happens and these issues are sorted out.
Thank you, Deputy.
First of all, I'd like to thank the deputies for raising this matter, and I want to outline to the House the measures that I have put in place to ensure that contractors working on contracts awarded under my department's school building programme, including Kishogue Community School Lucan, are compliant with tax and employment laws. And I want to acknowledge the presence of the workers in the gallery, and just to say that I will be meeting with building workers' unions in the very near future. A date has been arranged for such a meeting. As the deputies are aware, in common with the rest of the public sector, all Department of Education and Skills capital works projects are tendered and awarded under the standard public works contracts as required by the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform and the Government Contracts Committee for Construction. The guidelines require a competitive process to be carried out in an open, objective and transparent manner to achieve best value for money in public procurement. Essential principles to be observed in conducting all procurement functions include non-discrimination, equal treatment, transparency, mutual recognition, proportionality, freedom to provide service and freedom of establishment. Any contractor wishing to tender for any building projects funded by my department must sign a personal situation declaration under oath confirming that they are in compliance with Regulations 53 of SI 329 of 2006, which requires the contractor, among other things, to confirm that they have not been convicted for failing to fulfil an obligation to pay a social security contribution or to pay a tax or levy as required under a law of the country or territory. A building contract is a complex arrangement of contractual relationships between the client, the main contractor, specialist subcontractors, domestic subcontractors, suppliers of materials, suppliers of plant, etc. In general, all subcontractors employed on education sector building projects are employed directly by the main contractor or indirectly by the main contractor through other subcontractors. It's a matter for all subcontractors to agree terms and conditions and a schedule of payments with the main contractor as their direct employer. I'm keen to ensure that building contractors operating legitimately are protected, while those who seek to avoid their obligations under the terms of the Public Works contract will be reported to the statutory agencies and penalised where appropriate. My department appointed Contractors Administration Services (CAS) in April 2013 to conduct random audits on school building projects in order to verify compliance with the relevant pay and conditions clauses in the Public Works contracts. In tandem with the appointment of CAS, my department also provided an online complaint system on its website to enable individuals to bring the department's attention to cases where they are of the opinion that issues of non-compliance are taking place. CAS are continuing to conduct audits on school and college building projects and have been appointed to carry out a full monitoring service for the duration of the contract on Kishogue Community College in Lucan. Any allegations of non-compliance brought to the attention of my department on any school building site will be audited by CAS, and should irregularities be uncovered in terms of non-compliance with employment law, enforcement and prosecution falls under the remit of NERA, and the department will report any discrepancies found to it. If an audit uncovers any other matters of concern regarding tax compliance or social welfare fraud, such matters will be referred to either the Revenue Commissioners and/or the Department of Social Protection as appropriate. In respect of the ongoing dispute on the Kishogue Community College site, Dublin and Dún Laoghaire Education and Training Board is the client employer under the contract. While my department is the funding authority for the project, it's not a party to the contract, and as such my department has had no direct dealings with the contractor regarding this particular project. However, I would encourage all parties involved in the dispute to use the appropriate industrial relations channels to resolve this current matter. As the deputies may also be aware, the Government has recently approved the preparation of legislation to provide for a revised legislative framework to replace the Registered Employment Agreement system. And I've recently met with the Minister for Business and Employment, Jed Nash, to discuss the progress on this new legislation. And as I already said, I intend meeting with unions representing construction workers shortly. And among the issues will be to discuss their views on the proposed new legislation. The new mechanism will allow unions and employers to apply to the Labour Court to initiate a review of pay, pensions, sick pay terms of workers in a particular sector and make recommendations to the Minister for the making of an order in these areas. The new mechanism will also provide for flexibility in response to changing economic circumstances or changes in the makeup of a sector. The new legislation is intended to provide certainty for employees as well as for businesses tendering for contracts. It will also help to promote industrial peace in the crucial construction sector and establish universal standards which will help to prevent Irish firms being undercut in tendering for contracts.
I now call Deputy Ruth Coppinger for the 1 minute.
Minister, how as a Labour Minister can you stand there and have let this strike go on for the last number of months? It was brought to your attention by several deputies already. And now you won't give a commitment tonight to withhold funds from an employer who surely even, I know the Labour Party has fallen in recent years, but surely even an employer who give you the sums of money owed to these workers. Give you 4 examples. One worker that worked almost 14 weeks was paid €2,385. He's owed over €10,000. Another that worked over 10 weeks was paid €2,300 and is owed over €7,208. I could give you more figures if you wanted to listen to them. How can you, as a Labour minister, as a Labour Party member, stand and allow this to go on in your own back garden, in your own department for so long? With regard to CAS, unfortunately CAS has no teeth whatsoever. It doesn't have sufficient teeth to follow up what needs to be done. Revenue and the Department of Social Welfare don't even cooperate on these matters. There's only one way that Rathigan and other developers could undercut other contractors, and that's by allowing black economy practices among its workers. Most of them work and operate from Northern Ireland, so most of the money's actually lost here. Clearly they're signing on in the north, they're driving down here to work in many sites. In other cases, most of the workers have... Okay, just to finish, Cork, Limerick, etc. How would it even be make it, viable for them to drive to Dublin every day to do that unless they were signing on the dole as well? You really don't need to be a genius to work it out.
So, Deputy, 1 minute also.
Minister, you better get real on this issue, because we are going to step up the legitimate pressure for justice for these workers and other workers in similar situations. Now, you come in and read the script, and any Fine Gael minister could do it just quite as well. There is no dispute, as if there was some kind of a disputed facts or something. These workers have been abused. It's rife. Your predecessor was told about it, and he or you have not dealt with it. Now, you come in and you wave CAS. Exactly what was waved in front of me when I exposed the industrial-scale exploitation by Gamma Construction in 2005. And some of the same arguments were output about the tendering process and the best and lowest tender get it. Why wouldn't Gamma get it when they had this massive exploitation of workers going on? Undercut all around them. No wonder Rathigan can do the same with these outrageous tactics, forcing workers into a situation of bogus subcontracting, to deny them their proper wages, to deny them their rights, their pension rights, and their security as workers. Now,
sorry, Deputy,
can you tell us, when you reply, in practical terms, I don't want to hear about a meeting with construction. You can meet with the workers here right now. They will tell you, stop the payments to Rathigans on this site, have a meeting in the next 2 days when the truth can be established, and then that will sort it out.
Well, first of all, I think I've made it clear what the system is. I've made it clear in relation to the way in which complaints are dealt with, to the way in which contracts are awarded, and the contract is not with me, so I can't stop paying the contract. It's not directly with me. But I do want to meet with the unions, and I am going to meet with them soon. They're the representatives of the building workers, the variety of unions that represent the building workers. I will be meeting with them in the very near future. My colleague, I've been meeting with their representatives, with their union representatives, which I think is the appropriate way for me to meet. My colleague Deputy Nash is addressing what is a gap at the moment because of the case which struck down the agreements that were there. There have been allegations made here and in relation to, for example, that revenue and social welfare don't cooperate, that people are signing on in the north and travelling down here to work. They're very serious allegations, and I take them seriously. Well, I would like that if anybody has any evidence of any of these things, that they would inform the relevant authorities, because they're not anything that I can stand over. So if you have information, I would suggest that you inform the relevant authorities. We are having audits carried out. We are referring any information to the relevant bodies that deal with these matters. I don't want to see any workers exploited. That's why we are reforming the legislation. Any allegations that are made will be seriously investigated. I'm meeting with the union shortly, And I want to see, I'm meeting with the unions in accordance with an arrangement that will suit them and suit me. We've been in touch. There are more unions representing building workers than Unite.
Yeah. To the Minister to conclude, please.
I have been requested to meet with Unite and also with other building representatives. I treat them all equally. I'll be meeting them all.
Thank you. Thank the Minister. Now, that